she doesn't.
Lady Pierce calling someone a powder keg is pretty rich.
She's in control of her emotions. She's only ever used them to strike fear into others and get answers that she wanted.
Like the innocent child that she scared the bejesus out of. Good job, Lady Pierce.
The child was
Lady Pierce is
necessary.
short-tempered.
Yeah.
No, impatient.
Yes,
Very
impatient.
person.
The child deserved it. What can I say? They shouldn't have been crying.
So the cultist doesn't deserve it, but the innocent child does for crying.
We return to the adventuring party.
Okay.
Sneak around. Sneak.
Okay, they're coming.
Run away. Run away.
That's the first time I've just had fun with a match in a long time.
Okay. So, this session I want to do differently because A, it won't be a full session, and B, there's only so much talking the DM can do.
So ask questions.
Nice.
So, the last time we played was pretty much 2 months and a week ago. Ken uploaded a video on November 18th. We are now January 26th/27th. So, going by that metric, it's been 8 to 9 weeks since we've last been in session. So I want to apologize to all our players.
No.
Because I'm putting you guys all on the spot here.
Oh boy.
So, this will determine how well you know your characters, and or may allow you guys to flesh out things that you haven't even thought about.
Giving a one shot or something?
This is not a one shot. This is part of the campaign. It is canon. So anything you say or do will have ripple effects or no effect to the game for the rest of the campaign. It's nothing dramatic. It's nothing crazy. But we're going to use this session and use this time to learn more about each character in this game. We've only had Havi, Kainen, and Lady Pierce for 2-3 sessions or whatever it was. And we don't really know much about them and or their motivation. Now, I need to load up Talespire. Next 2-3 minutes, just to quickly read through each of your backstories or any information you've written down about your own character. Just re-familiarize yourselves with those characters. Thank you. This is going to be session 23.5, as Ken has stated. Elliot, if you could please present us with your recap, that would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, I don't have one, sorry. No, just kidding. Alright.
Bullshit fucking.
Man, you'd be really upset if I didn't have one, did I? Alright, Prince of the Apocalypse, episode number 23. The party entered the depths below the monastery, and with Phil's guidance, we gradually made our way through the eerily quiet corridors unharmed. Phil noted that there was water that had pulled its way into these corridors as opposed to the last time he was here. We had to reroute our journey since some of the corridors had been caved in as well. We did find a large open room full of statues of petrified people and a sinister throne in the center of it all. Kainen and Havi investigated a bedroom adjoining the room of statues. Kainen found a set of well-made elven chainmail in a chest, and Havi took a tapestry off the wall. During this time, Lady Pierce and Phil had wandered through the variety of statues, searching each face, checking for any familiar faces, but none were found among them. Lady Pierce approached the throne, assembled her maul, and demolished the seat with one powerful swing. We continued through the main corridor, passing the room with the large stone golem creature within it. We passed a partially collapsed intersection into a semi-flooded open room. Lady Pierce let out a cry of grief as she discovered her daughter, petrified but thankfully still intact. Phil also pointed out Dr. Croker, who was still intact and submerged within the bath waters. Before we could go about attending to the petrified companions, we heard a moan from a connecting room. It was the cultist torture room where 4 prisoners were left abandoned in confined cages. We broke the locks, releasing the prisoners, but unfortunately 2 of them had already perished. We watered and fed them, gathering some basic information from them. One of the 2 prisoners, Greta, explained that they were abandoned here for perhaps a few days, and she pointed out that the other survivor, Orna, was an Earth cultist. After some brief but stern conversation with Orna, she shared the sign of the Earth cultist with us and not much else. Havi didn't like her very much, but we eventually let Orna leave unharmed. Havi made sure to pelt some rations into Orna's back as she left. Phil took some time, taking a few possessions of Locke's body that was still laying next to Guy's statue. Phil collected some coins, a spell scroll of greater invisibility, a brooch, and a letter from Locke's person. Lady Pierce looked troubled as she peered back and forth from Guy's statue to Dr. Croker's statue. She eventually asked Phil to use the scroll of greater restoration on Dr. Croker, but against Lady's wishes, Phil ended up deceiving her and casting the spell on Guy's statue instead. Unfortunately, the spell had failed. Phil, now ashamed that the spell didn't work and scared of what Lady would do, polymorphed into a mouse and ran away. Kainen consoled Lady during her moment of fragility and reassured her that there would still be another time to save her daughter. Phil eventually came out of hiding and apologized to her for letting her down. The group began fortifying Guy's statue by enclosing it with repurposed brick and stone they found. We then sought about burying the bodies we found. Havi flew off to investigate the flooded areas beyond our room. She flew through a very long corridor that ended at a closed door. Hiding beyond it were some creepy one-eyed spiny creatures. Havi left them be and returned to the group. The party got Havi to investigate a deep stairwell nearby. She sensed that she had unfortunately triggered an alarm spell. She listened to a few doors down there, and it was the west door that got her attention. She sensed a great evil danger beyond it and fled back to the group. The group discussed what she had found, and after some discussion decided to investigate what evil was beyond that door.
Thank you, Elliot. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Good recap. Good recap.
Thank you.
Okay, do that. And then do this.
And so begins our adventure.
By the way, Splash, if you hold Control and left click your character, you can change the height by selecting the base.
Ah.
Woo! Oh, hey, Havi. Oh, I want to fight too.
Javi a good time. Javi a good time.
I want to go to each player, so I'm going to ask you individually one by one. But we're going to start with Phil. Sorry to put you on the spot, buddy, but you seem the most... You've had the most time spent awake today to think about your character.
The most alive player.
Yeah.
Well, Drongo, so...
Yeah, but Phil's been alive the longest, technically.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Dr. Croker and Guy Pearce have been alive longer, but they're frozen in carbonite. Pretty much.
We're on hiatus now.
Yeah.
So,
Possibly forever.
Phil, can you run us through, as articulately as you can, what is going through Phil's mind right now?
It's kind of like if you've gone to like an old folks home and one of the old vets there has just been triggered by PTSD, and it's just kind of trembling, wide-eyed, just distant. He's a little bit better now that the group's kind of accepted him and has been there for him. And even though he's kind of going through this, he's not like reliving this in his mind, like understanding. All he knows is that something happened again, and it's like a repeat of something that just really crushed him before. So he is just kind of in shock right now still, hardly processing anything, just kind of blindly following the group, trying to find some sense of something to cling to, something to keep from going insane or just giving into despair. It's probably the best way I can put it.
So, you said that you're following the group, but in the same token, the group is following you. How is Phil? Does Phil even comprehend that aspect?
No, because he sends it. Maybe it's like, let's go down this way, or let's go this way. So, I guess even though if he's in front of the group, he's still feeling he's going whatever the group wants to go. So, he's not even processing that he's leading the group. He feels he's just following wherever the group is wanting to go. He wants to go outside and get somewhere safe, but the group wants to go deeper, and he can't comprehend what's next. So he's just kind of numbly going in the direction he thinks everyone wants to go.
Does Phil have any plans for the scroll that was lost?
The scroll of
Greater
Restoration?
Healing. Greater Restoration, thank you.
Well, he already gave away his biggest treasure to get it. And he has no idea how to get another or even a spell. He doesn't even know Greater Restoration. He's nowhere close to that. So he has no clue, because when it first happened, he was frantically running around. Maybe there's something here that can undo it, especially if that's a danger. The boss is a danger to his own people. But when he couldn't find anything there, and he traveled such a long distance, and he gave away the hammer in exchange for one, now he's got nothing. And so he knows what it takes, but even then he doesn't even believe in his own abilities to use it, because he already failed again. So has no plans, no clue, just no idea what to do. If that helps.
Thank you for that summary. Kainen, you've entered into this arena. You've sent off word that there's trouble that's afoot. Something's not right. What is driving Kainen to venture further down into the depths of this dungeon?
Well, Kainen needs to follow what his sect. It's kind of the whole purpose of his sect is to delve and to uncover the evils that are below and within things. So, although he has his own purpose of being there, essentially his plan that makes him do what he needs to do, he has that drive beyond it for challenge, where he wants to come across a worthy opponent as well. So it is both following what his clan wants versus his own desires to find a challenge.
Where did this desire for a challenge come from?
When he was becoming a swordsman of sorts, he found that at his homestead that he felt stagnant in his homestead area, where he was very good at what he did. He was very skilled with the sword, but without proper challenge or person to kind of push him beyond that, he felt like he would not be able to reach beyond his own ability without actually encountering something greater than him.
Now, this errand that you were sent, that Kainen was sent on, despite your better knowledge and your better efforts, you kind of feel like the emphasis was put upon you to, hey, go search out what the problem is in the Sumber Hills, but in your deepest thoughts, this did feel like a fool's errand. Like, why weren't you sent out with a party? Why are you being put out there alone? If it's such a dangerous threat, why were you just one person that was put on this map of sorts, on this quest? Like, how did that make you feel prior to your current knowledge?
Well, he believes it was probably more of a surface style investigation, believing that it's probably a possibility of something, but not really a good chance of it being a greater thing. Whereas it's like, all right, if I'm only being sent there on my own, it probably isn't as big as they think. They probably just want to have like a quick look at it, almost like a welfare check style thing. But when finally reaching this area and speaking to his source there, he became uncertain how dangerous this circumstance may have been, due to like the which word would be the intensity that was explained to him about something wrong going on here, but without proper evidence of what was happening, because people sometimes blow things out of water. Hard to tell whether it is a greater or not. But now that he's finally delving further into this with people who are, well, with Phil in this case being the main source of information with all this, it's slowly broadening the severity of the circumstance. Hence why he wrote back to them, immediately requesting help for him. And knowing that civilians of sorts were heading into this dangerous place, he could not let them just go alone into something like this without going himself as well.
So, gathering that information, it seems like Kainen has an extreme sense of duty in this situation. Was there duty going into the situation, or was there any sort of feeling of being dejected because, again, you were sent alone into something that seemed merely as a rumor prior to your arrival? Was there any... Did Kainen ever question his superiors, like the reasons for him being put on this journey?
Probably felt more like a more back-end issue for him, whereas his eagerness to maybe come across something dangerous and a challenge probably overtook his concern for the circumstance as much. So he knew that being on his own, he would be able to confront it head on. Whereas with others of his own sect, it would likely have been a perhaps more cautious approach to this circumstance.
How did he feel? Sorry to interject. How did he feel stumbling upon the statues of clearly people that had been trapped down here and running into people that were friends of Phil's?
As in Guy and Dr. Croker.
Guy, Dr. Croker, and the deadlock. How did... What did that instill in anything within him? Did he feel emotionless? Was there compassion behind what he's seen? Was there any sort of feeling? Was it just, this is duty and this is what happens? What was going through Kainen's head at that point?
He felt empathy towards Lady when Lady saw that guy, her daughter, was petrified. So there was empathy there for that close circumstance that was taken from them. But knowing that there wasn't much he could do about fixing it, he knew that duty would be on top. Only do what we can do with what we can.
One last question. How did Kainen feel knowing that Lady named her daughter Guy?
Confused. Very much confused, but also doubly confused when finding out that Lady's name was Lady and not Pierce. So, yeah, confused is probably the best answer there.
Okay.
I don't know why you guys have such a big problem with this.
It's something of the bear that I can poke, so I'm just going to continue to poke while I can.
And she was a swell guy.
Okay, so jumping down to Havi.
I was waiting for that like screech.
Now, Havi, you've been presented with things have broadened beyond your scope of imagination, let's say. That's a potential reality. How is Havi processing the situation that she is within? Sorry, is Havi a guy or a girl?
Non-binary.
Okay. How is Havi dealing with the fact that they are within the lair of the Earth cult, it would seem?
So, Havi is keenly aware that they are in the lair of, their like mortal enemy, and the driving force there is just like determination to, I don't know, keep exploring and sort of get to the root of the problem, I guess.
Has Havi ever considered, well, now, has Havi contemplated the fact that the village she saw flood wasn't a direct result of the Earth cult and some other entity?
Yes, but in Havi's mind, they've basically they're convinced of all the cults sort of working together, and because there is such a prejudice against the Earth cult, Havi is putting a lot of the blame onto the Earth cult as being responsible for the actions of the other cults, even though that might not actually be the case.
What does Havi expect to find moving forward?
As in, like...
anything. Is Havi looking for retribution? Is Havi looking for peace in in their land? Is Havi expecting a fight to the death?
So, Havi has done a lot of. They've spent their lives researching their heritage, and they know that they come from a long line of Aarakocra that have fought in many, many battles against the cults, or the Earth cult in particular. And so ultimately, Havi is looking to defeat Ogremok. They are prepared to fight to the death because they firmly believe that the cause is greater than one life. And they're kind of very focused on like the greater good sort of thing. But for Havi specifically, balance and peace is what they're sort of aiming for.
So it was through, let's call it divine intervention, that Havi ran into Phil. How did Havi feel when they found Dr. Croker and Guy set in stone with a dead companion, Locke?
I feel like a lot of Havi's initial feelings toward things to do with what the cult has done and everything is sort of like anger bubbles up first and then the empathy. They are a little bit hot-headed, I guess. So when Havi saw the statues of the petrified Guy and Dr. Croker, it was more a reaction of how could they do this and stuff like that. And then it was the, oh my god, like this is Lady's child, and these are Phil's friends, and that sort of deeper empathy and sorrow. Similarly with finding Locke, it was outrage that someone could hurt Goose in such a way, and then the feelings of sorrow and grief for what Goose has lost.
Now, this, you called it almost a blind rage towards the Earth cult. Has Havi considered that there might be the possibility that they might not get retribution against the Earth cult?
No. So for Havi, that's what they're in this for. In their eyes, the Earth cult are to blame for all of these like horrible things going on with other cults' involvement, and all that Havi wants is for them to pay, as almost like a generational toll that they have to pay.
So, being that Havi is a creature of the air, of the wind, they're literally born to have gusts of wind fly beneath their, float their wings on the cool summer breeze. How does Havi, in all their research, feel about air elementals?
So, above everything, even above their disdain for the Earth Cult, Havi respects the balance of the elements and their roles in keeping the world spinning. When Havi learned that the cults were, potentially working together, they were... It's the whole, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, but he was mad as well.
Mad and disappointed?
Yeah, it's like they expected better of the air cult because there is such an affinity with the air currents and the breeze with Aarakocras, but at the end of the day, regardless of which cult it is doing what, the aim for Havi is balance and peace.
Okay, thank you. Lady Pierce. Let's start with one simple question. Why did you name your female daughter Guy?
Actually pronounced Jai.
After the father.
It was some guy. Sorry.
He wasn't just some guy.
Dad.
But yeah.
Sorry, let me
There you
let's move away from that. I apologize. I just couldn't help myself. That's me being a dick. What went through Lady's mind when Phil turned the scroll and attempted to free Guy?
The first time or the second time?
Give us a play-by-play for both.
Okay, well, the first time she was like, somewhat okay with his attempt to, rescue Guy. She wanted Guy back. But she also knew that Guy would rather have them save the other person before herself. So when he tried it again, and actually used the scroll on her, she lost a lot of trust in him. After everything that, she thought she made it pretty clear that Guy would have wanted Croker to come back, not her. And then for him to do that. Yeah.
Being that hindsight
Trust-breaking.
is 2020, what would have been the difference if Guy came back?
Still be distrustful of Phil because it was clear that he was not fully in control of himself when he was doing it. He was going through some things in that time. She'd probably warn Guy that he's basically a powder keg, and that she doesn't know what's going to happen if at the inopportune time. She'd be happy that she's back, but yeah, she probably wouldn't change stance on Phil.
So, what is Lady's next move?
To kill everything in the in the dungeon, so that nothing can harm her daughter. There's no chance of her daughter getting harmed. if they deserve it, she's not just gonna like kill prisoners or other party members, anything like that. If they seem like they're eager for redemption, or I don't know, appear that they may have be questioning themselves within this culty organization, she's willing to give them a chance, but anything else is dead.
How will you determine that? How will you determine who's good and who's evil?
Talking to him. I'm willing to trust in people. She's willing to trust in people that show signs that they might be interested in a different life. That's how she raised Guy.
So your ask question first, destroy later mentality, rather than destroy first, ask questions later, which is very virtuous of Lady Pierce for sure. We definitely saw that in Guy as well. Now, Lady has a lot of distrust for Phil. What keeps her by his side right now?
The need to destroy whatever evil is left in this place.
But I mean, she could break off and go destroy them single-handedly for sure. I mean, she
doesn't think that. She doesn't think that. She sees that there's like, how do I say it? Like, strength with the different party members, but she doesn't think that they'd be able to last long without her help. To put it politely.
So, Lady sees herself as the warrior that needs to guide the group. Is that a summary of what you're saying?
No, she's seen mostly for Phil that he had that episode. When he was casting rest spell and he was triggered, not really listening to what people wanted. She can recognize that as being probably dangerous in the wrong moment. Like, it's fine when we're all just standing around, but if there's like some battle going on and it happens, then it's gonna be a problem. And she's not about leaving people who might be going into danger. Much like Kainen and Havi, she just doesn't. She wouldn't leave these people to fight this battle. But there's also the fact that Guy was down here and thought it was important enough to risk her life for it. So she's willing to see that through to the end because of that as well. At least in this place. She doesn't know anything about the cult, anything like that. She just knows that this place is where Guy got petrified and that there's bad things here. And that Guy wouldn't be here without a reason. And that now she has to make the whole place safe for Guy.
So there's a sense of duty for Lady Pierce at the moment.
Yeah, I guess. Towards Guy more than anyone, but she is also not... She's in this place with these people. She's not just gonna leave them and run off.
Never split the party.
Never split.
Okay. Thank you all for the insights into your characters. I greatly appreciate that. is there any question that any of the characters have for each other?
None. She doesn't really care.
Havi would like to, and I know it's probably a bit of a futile question, but more so that it's on record that Havi has noticed, I guess. Havi would like to know what is haunting Phil.
So are you asking that question? So the way I see it is, you guys are, the party is currently on a long trek down a very long stairway. And to make sure you guys don't suddenly fall down and kill yourselves, you guys are taking it, relatively steady to get down this staircase. This long staircase. And
This
it's
is a
going to
moment
take
of
time.
reflection.
It's going to take time to reach. Havi, are you asking this question to Phil out loud? What, or if you are, how are you phrasing it?
Yes, Havi will ask Phil directly. I'm trying to think of how I would go about it, though.
That's fine. Take your time.
Yeah,
There's
I just
absolutely
broach
no
it
rush.
casually. Broach it casually. And Havi will sort of hover near Phil. And just sort of like look over him a little, enough so that Phil knows he's being looked at, I guess, if that's trying to like get his attention by looking at him but not saying anything, and then just looking over and saying, "Are you okay?"
I'm alive. It's not enough, is it? He does. He senses you there. He kind of acknowledges you, but he doesn't turn to look at you. He's still kind of staring off, just casually walking down into whatever traps may wait them. But he's just like, he started to be positive, like you know, we're still here, but it didn't work. So no.
Havi takes a moment to, I don't know, take that in, and sort of looks sympathetically to Phil and just says, "It's not your fault. We can try again."
No, I was the cause. I think I was the cause. I know I was the cause. And I lost her.
At least you tried to help.
This
At least
time.
you tried.
This time. But again, I failed. Again. It wasn't enough. I can't do this again. I can't help anyone.
We only fail when we stop trying.
He tries to shift the subject just a little bit. Are you all right?
And he sort of like looks around like, yes.
Do you have any sons or daughters?
No, but I do have family.
Keep them close. Keep them safe.
Do you have family?
He looks up at her, and his eyes brighten up just a little bit, and he starts to open his mouth. And then he just kind of, I mean, he's still walking, but he kind of pauses. I can't remember. Maybe? Well, duh, I had to be born from somewhere. But I don't know. And then his face kind of falls again.
Javi looks a little confused, but trying to make Phil, I don't know, feel better and understood. Javi says, you know, I'm an orphan.
Who's your family?
Goose.
Oh. Are you like blood relative or just cousins?
No, Goose's mother found me when I was a wee baby.
I hope Goose is safe.
He is, isn't he? Where is he? Can't remember where Goose is.
I think we left him outside to be
Oh,
safe.
yeah, outside.
The DM can't answer that question.
Oh boy.
No, the DM won't answer that question.
Inside check. No.
I'm sorry, you can't inside check the DM.
I'm with that attitude.
Request denied.
He kind of calls down a little bit or up, depending on where she is, to Lady. It's like, I'm sorry you couldn't save your daughter either.
Is just shrugs her shoulders.
I'll lean down over to Lady and go, well, he did try. I gotta give him that.
Yeah. No. She's not. I don't know.
Just happy to dismiss
She's a bit far away. Yeah. This only just happened. I thought she was getting her daughter back and didn't. So. Yeah, a little bit not present.
Still a little bit raw.
Mhm.
Well, lady, knowing that there is a way to get her daughter back, how does that make you feel?
Disappointed that it didn't work. Hopeful that it might next time. If she finds someone who can cast a spell that, who's confident they can cast a spell. Not in that way, but like more so that, because like Phil had already mentioned that he wasn't sure if he'd be able to cast it properly. So she'd be interested in finding like a cleric or something like.
Someone more competent.
Yeah. I guess. There's no nice way to say it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I just can't think of it else. But Anyway, that's kind of what she's thinking about that. She's just remembering all the fun times they.
Flashback montage of them playing ball in the field and
Yeah.
riding a bike.
Rushing into a tree.
But it's set to like, I remember you.
You don't like the left and right. And with
Yeah.
right, left, right. Always keep your enemies guessing, dear. Right, left.
Pretty much, yeah. But then there's like lessons that she took the wrong way, and that's why she became a monk.
Does Lady have any regrets about Guy becoming a monk?
No, it's more that because of the way the two classes are, Barbarian being rage focused, tried to teach Guy that controlling your emotions is like would give you more strength, more power, and Guy took that to mean control them and subdue them. So she became a monk to think more logically in battle as opposed to just raw emotion, which is how Lady operates, I guess.
But is that a good thing in Lady's mind?
She is always gonna love her daughter, but she thinks she's a bit daft sometimes. Yeah, so that lesson being one example.
What lesson?
Didn't quite understand it.
What lesson does Guy wish she could have bestowed on her daughter Guy? Oh, sorry. What lesson does Lady wish she could have bestowed on her daughter Guy?
I don't know. Probably not to career fighting.
Sorry, can you repeat? I think you broke up a little bit.
She was probably not to pick a career in something to do with combat, which is what she did.
But she walked in her mother's footsteps.
Yeah, and she didn't want that. Lady's like seen things and is like, no, this is no place to be. And she didn't want that for her daughter. Regardless of how like skilled she was and everything. This is horrible.
Seems like a circumstance of like Hercules with the whole use your head versus use your head. You know what I'm saying? The other one.
So Phil, you've been asked if you've got family, and right now you don't remember, or your character claims not to remember. What is Phil doing to garner that aspect of his life? Like how is Phil dealing with that situation of knowing or not knowing what family he has left behind?
He's kind of hoping to maybe remember, bring back memories, because his last known memory is waking up in the prison cell. But he is driven by some sort of instinct that's driven by something he doesn't remember, and he is trusting in that instinct in hopes that he does not go through whatever pain he can't seem to grasp onto. And the reason this hit him so hard is because it's like a knife right back in his heart. He feels like he repeated whatever mistake he made or whatever pain he's got. And he's trying hard. He doesn't know how. I mean, he's trying his mind. That's why he's kind of distant, but his mind can't grasp onto anything. All he can do is just trust his instincts to hopefully guide him into either coming upon something that'll jog his memory or coming upon a situation where he can redeem himself by saving someone else from whatever fate is haunting him.
So everything's based on instinct with Phil and Phil not knowing.
That's why he's kind of following the group, because his instinct is this is the safest place, this is the path to walk. Wherever they're going, he's just got to hope to do his best.
Okay. I'm going to ask for a roll. Can Phil please give me an insight check, please?
Why? That's a nat 20. That's like his best roll ever.
On your clockwork dice. Well, that isn't usually roll well. What it is?
Phil gets a glimpse into something he was never sure about before. But there's a sudden realization. He doesn't know how or why, but he's determined to believe he was part of a family. Whether that is being a son or being a father, he is uncertain. Being simply a husband, he doesn't know. But he's determined to believe that he's left people behind that care about him. He's determined to find his way back. And for some reason, 88 miles per hour reaches his memory, but he doesn't know why.
Nice.
Crack the Scott!
This is heavy.
He does seem visibly to seem a little calmer. He doesn't shake as much. He doesn't seem as wide-eyed as much. There's just kind of a warmth that slowly returns to his cheeks as he just dwells on this and almost ignores all his other senses as this light of hope rekindles in his heart.
Kainen. Having listened to this conversation, what's going through your mind at the moment? This dwelling that you've noticed Phil, you've noticed he's distant. You noticed he's soul searching. What does that incite inside of Kainen? It's a tricky question, so don't feel that you have to answer it.
Partly a little bit of concern that a person of magical ability doesn't know many things about himself, considering his potential of, well, dangerous potential, as it were, versus the safety of the people here. Because although Kainen has his duty, he also he has his order and his duty and his desire for combat. Protection is also a part of his duty. So looking out for people here, including members of PotA themselves, has to be a part of it too. So I'd say he'll probably have to keep a bit of a watchful eye on Phil in case something goes a bit odd from him.
What is Kainen's experience with magic? We know he's not a magic user, but has it ever affected him?
Not affected him in any negative way. He is a learned person, so he has been taught about the potential of magic, so at least its capabilities. And knowing that, especially when it comes to combat, that mages or wizards or warlocks have great potential to do some very powerful and dangerous things, as well as useful things. So he is cautiously aware of its potential, but never really truly been negatively affected by it, but knows of its.
I would like Kainen to please give me a history check. +4.
12.
Well, you suck.
12 T1.
Oh, 12 to 1. Yeah, you
Yeah.
still suck.
Oh. Yeah, bad at math too, yeah. Should have just told me then.
I feel like everybody needs to roll at least once this session.
I
Just
can try
once.
my other dice. It's not great.
You don't get advantage.
I know.
Actually, Havi,
Mhm.
can you please give me a history check?
Indeed, I may.
You are also a +4.
19.
Okay. Now, you're already aware, but you're trying to make sense of it all still. You know through your readings, through your in-depth research, that the cults typically have never been at peace before. But for some reason there seems to be a truce that you're not quite understanding as to why. You would have sworn that you saw that village flood. You would have drawn conclusion that had something to do with the water cult. But you don't know how it ties into the earth cult. And just flashing back to the water that you saw on the grounds above, you and the corridor you explored, there was a humidity about it that seeped through your feathers and got through to your skin that left you a little uneasy. You would have assumed that the water cult would have been bashing down the doors of the earth cult, and or vice versa. But they weren't. What's driving Havi's thought process about this right now?
He's kind of like, it's, you know that meme where there's all the photos on the wall and they're all connected with red string and he's like looking kind of wild-eyed. That's what's going in in their head at the moment. Harvey's trying to make these connections of thinking about, the village being flooded, and then thinking about the water coming in unnatural areas in the upper levels. And they're just trying to wrap their head around whether there is a truce with the cults, or whether the water cult came and, destroyed the upper levels of the earth cult, and that's why they left their prisoners behind. And they're trying to do like those crime boards in their mind to make these connections and really just try to add to their research. And they are calling on that historical knowledge that there's never really been a truce before, and they're trying to figure out what could have happened to cause the cults to form an alliance at this time.
Are you thinking any of this out loud, or is this all internal?
It's kind of like they're muttering to themselves a little. So Havi was, saying to Phil, like, I'm an orphan, and then Havi noticed Phil sort of having this internal moment of, epiphany and realization and rekindling, and so Havi's turned their thoughts back to, trying to figure out what's going on, and they're kind of just muttering to themselves, like, I don't understand the water cult. Did they come here, and was there a battle? Like, there's water everywhere, and now, the Earth cult is gone, but this is their base. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Kainen and Phil, please give me a perception check.
Saw nothing. I heard.
Well, I spent my nat 10. Let's see, perception. An 8.
Yeah, you guys don't notice anything going on, but Lady Pierce has a passive perception of 14, and she overhears this muttering from Havi.
And Lady's like, shut up. Sorry.
That's completely fair and possible. Is Lady Pierce responding to this in any particular way?
She's got no idea what it's talking about. She's gonna look up at. Well, okay, so you're flying above, right?
Kind of like within head height. So I will change my thingy.
All right. No wonder I saw it. I need my fire sword.
How dare you?
I don't know. She's kind of wary of Havi. She might just like ask, "Are you all right?" But sort of like,
like to herself.
not in like a caring way that a friend would to another friend. She'd be like,
You're right.
"You what, mate?" Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, hello to this fucking nutcase, right?
I don't know why I pictured that in a Canadian accent.
She'll ask, like, are you okay?
Havi sort of seems a little bit spooked that anyone's noticed their mutterings to themselves, and is just and sort of looks at Lady. Yes, I'm fine. Because Havi has a bit of a problem with Lady, so he sort of hangs back to fly a bit closer to Phil.
Don't worry, the feeling's mutual. We've discussed this already.
Sorry.
When we were watching the replay, like last night, Ash is like, I forgot.
Oh, with Orna?
Can you guys please update the DM so he can get in? What was I missed something there? What's the between Havi and Lady Pierce?
We
Wanna go
were
first,
discussing this last night, and
It all comes down to Orna, damn it.
I described it as like empathy before honor or something, or ethic before honor, because Lady fed a cultist of the Earth Cult, not once but twice. Once after finding out they were an Earth cultist, and then let them go freely, even though they were most likely contributory to her daughter's predicament. And she's just like, no, it's fine. Go on your merry way. Here, have some food. And Havi has a great deal of issue with that.
And Lady has issue with the fact that Havi tried to attack an unarmored prisoner who's like severely weakened. So
They were a cultist.
they were looking to not be a part of the
They
cult
were
anymore.
a cultist that was imprisoned because
And then she called Lady an ethical
even
slut. So
well, yeah, she is. Even though in that prisoner's spiel they said that, you know, Ogremok and everything were amazing and Marlos was amazing and fantastic, you still gave them food. So they weren't even a repentant prisoner.
they were
They were
weak.
just like, the Earth Cult did something that didn't suit me, so then they imprisoned me and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, get wrecked.
They deserve a second chance.
They don't. Sorry.
Well, I'm
Even
sorry. Why
after
did Havi
becoming imprisoned
leave him alive
by
then?
their cult, they still were like, oh, but, you know, Marlos and Ogremok are amazing. Go and jog on. No, thank you.
So why is she still alive?
That's my question.
Well, you left her alive. You were going to throw a knife in her back, but you didn't.
That's because you were friggin' bitching and moaning
I wasn't.
about it.
I wasn't even near
Were.
it. I was standing in the room with Greta, helping her out.
Her past me, gave her food.
And you
I was
went
like,
out after her and
"No,
threw the food in the
be
back of her
free."
head.
Yes, I did.
Where was the knife, huh? Why did you let her go?
Because I didn't want to have a fight with a barbarian right now.
My God. So you
No
just like
doubt if I killed that
Sacrificing-
cultist.
you're
If
sacrificing
I
your
had
ideals.
killed that cultist,
because of
Lady
fear?
Pierce would have pitched a fit and gone full friggin' Hulk on me. And that's not particularly what I want when I don't know how she fights yet. I need to research her moves so that I can use them against her.
But she does remember that Phil pacified the barbarian by turning her into what was it?
Calm
It
emotion.
was an owl.
Oh yeah, turned her into an owl when they first met.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a good reason Harvey likes Phil a lot.
Yeah, basically
yeah.
the only one that
Lady
Lady
Pierce
doesn't
can
have
suck
a
a
problem.
dick.
Fuck off. The only person that Lady doesn't have a problem with is Kainen. He just thinks he's too rigid. That's it.
Harvey appreciates
Harvey-
structure.
Phil's a powder keg. She doesn't know what's going to set him off next. Harvey is just like a psychopath. No, that might be a bit too far. She's wary of Harvey. She doesn't.
Lady Pierce calling someone a powder keg is pretty rich.
She's in control of her emotions. She's only ever
Uh-huh.
used them to strike fear into others and get answers that she
Yes,
wanted.
like the innocent child that she scared the bejesus out of. Good job, Lady Pierce.
The child was
Lady Pierce is
necessary.
short-tempered.
Yeah.
Oh, no, impatient.
Yes,
Very
impatient.
person.
The child deserved it. What can I say? They shouldn't have been crying.
So the cultist doesn't deserve it, but the innocent child does for crying.
Mm.
Bravo!
Relax, that was a joke.
Bravo!
I didn't mean to scare the child. I saw a person with answers and I needed to get them right away. I didn't see the child.
Uh-huh. We've had some discussions about this.
Yeah.
Still going, apparently.
She's a real piece of shit.
Unresolved conversations, it seemed.
But yes, in summary, Harvey is distrusting of Lady, and I get that the feeling is pretty mutual.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Interesting.
Interesting inter-party tension.
Mm. Perfect.
That whole discussion made this
Scream
entire
at.
session worthwhile. Thank you very much, both of you.
It was very much giving that the meme discussion about the Wizard of Oz. Her sister was a witch, Doug.
So yeah, are you okay?
Yeah. Harvey
You
sort of was like,
seem-
"Whew," at the surprise of Lady speaking to him, and then just brushes it off and says, "I'm fine," and hovers back to
God damn
fly
it.
next to Phil.
Alright, well yeah, I'll leave it. Fuck
Okay,
'em.
does so no roll necessary. Kainen and Phil, you see an interaction where Lady asks, like you missed the mutterings of Harvey, but you saw the question of Lady Pierce to Harvey, and you saw a little bit of tension.
Mhm.
Are either of you two responding, or what are you internalizing as part of this? Do you just ignore it?
Ken is probably just holding to himself. It's just like, okay.
Oh, I've got a response. I wanted to see what you did first.
So Kanen's sort of just nonchalant, not really paying attention to this.
Mhm.
Phil, what's your, active response?
He kind of looks at the two, kind of breaking a little bit out of his daze. And after a moment, he kind of just does this kind of a bit of a sigh. Look, I know I'm not one to speak here. I've done a little thinking, and you know what? It's not really too late. I mean, Guy and Dr. Croker are still up there. They can still be saved, and we're literally getting to the bottom of what's going on here. So I think that I know we've all gone through kind of some hard times, but I think if we stick to it and stick together, we might be able to make this work. He just kind of chairs out.
Havi nods approvingly, but also with a sense of understanding.
Yeah, there's always time.
That's right. There's always time. And that just sets off light bulbs in his head. Sort of. Just his gears are turning more.
So what gears are those?
Well, that's kind of his intuition has kind of led him into trying the manipulation of time to help better the outcomes, but also time as in, patience. Time is constantly moving forward, and they haven't reached the end yet. So he's got a lot of, time manipulation thoughts, but also understanding that, you can't do it on a big scale. Sometimes you just got to let it flow. And so he's trusting in time this time and in hopes of, not only letting it guide the party to where they need to go, but doing little tugs here and there to make sure, hopefully make sure there's more success in the future.
It's just something of like, oh, I'm watching the video. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm watching the video. Thumbs up. Like and subscribe.